Here we go again. uh, Good evening, YouTube model railroaders. It's me again. I'm Ray. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start. Here it is. I'm kind of going back off of what I did last week, but no, actually, I've got some updates. I actually, working overnights this week, had a brainstorm after my mini rant last week, and I went back and looked again at a program that I've got, and I'm going to show you a picture of what I've got, and then I'm going to show you a couple other things here in a minute. But basically, I've come up with a plan. May not be the great plan, but it's a plan for redoing the Boeville Newtown, making it fit into this room a little bit better than what it does today. Like I said, it's not perfect. What I've got drawn up on the computer is done by a program called Visio, and it's more or less designed to do networking and electrical and electronic engineering and those types of things. Plus, you can also do rooms with it. But we actually use it at work for drawing up network diagrams and things of that nature. So it's a real simple program to use. The problem is it doesn't really translate very well to model railroading. But it does give me a starting point for the piece of paper that's sitting over my shoulder, there, back there. I've actually got, the HO template, and I've got the room drawn out on that piece of paper, and I've got a drafting board that's actually sitting on the other side of this workbench that I can actually sit on top of the workbench, and I can sit here and do it the old-fashioned way and draw it by hand, which I've done in the past, which brings me to a couple other things too. The other week when I was looking for my pictures, I actually came across some things that I had done years ago. I might share, if there's some time, I might actually share some of that with you all, because it was the predecessor and the precursor to what's actually sitting here. There was a lot of different things that were going on. I know I've mentioned in the very first video that I did, the layout was started by my grandfather back in the 1950s, and then my father, when I was born, my father built a layout, or not a layout, but it was a train platform. And then when we moved into our first house, we actually brought my dad's over from his father's garage. It was in the attic. And then the second or third year is when we actually combined the two, mine and his, and then we went back and completely redid it the year after that. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. Here again, help from some friends of his, and so on and so forth, Model Railroader magazine, and some other old books. But ultimately, there were a lot of iterations on a lot of different things that I had done when I was in the service, when my parents moved into the house up here. Not this one, but another one, where it was an unfinished basement. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, this could work real well. That didn't happen. That's another story for another time. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to pause here for a minute because I need to flip the camera. Of course, you guys know I use an iPad. I'm going to flip the camera, and I want to give you guys kind of an overview of the room down here, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like on paper, so you're going to get an idea as to where I'm headed with this thing. So give me a minute, and we'll be right back. Now, unfortunately, I do know that taking a picture of a computer screen with a computer screen, you're going to get these neat little lines through it. Well, yeah, I unfortunately don't have any other way of doing this that I know of, so we're just going to have to deal with the little red line going through the picture every so often. This is an overall view of the idea for the Boeville Newtown. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but I can tell you over here you've got Boeville. There's the north and southbound freight, and then here with these dash lines, that's actually the northbound and southbound passenger lines. This is actually a hidden yard for the passenger trains. And the way I've envisioned this is the trains would actually come in and they'll park on one of these ladders, and then they'll actually have to back out depending on which direction. If they came from Boeville, obviously, then they would be headed back towards Boeville. So, but that's basically it. And as you can tell over here, this area I haven't filled in yet, mainly because I need to snake it. And unfortunately, like I said, Visio doesn't really translate that well, so I have to freehand those, I guess is a good way to put it. That's where the pencil and paper is going to come in hand. So, without further ado, so you get a idea as to what I'm looking at here. You know, this section here is pre-existing. Everything else, well, of course, this section here still will exist also. That's actually new Bolshide. But everything else goes away and gets completely redone. And I'm actually going to be adding 6 feet onto, I think it's 6 feet, yeah, it's 6 feet onto Boeville. So there's a little 3 foot by 4 foot section that's just right over here right now. That's going to go away and it becomes a 6 foot section. So let's take a look at the room real quick, because I know I mentioned, okay, let's see if I can get this. Okay, I tried to do something that didn't work. Anyway, basically what we've got behind these double doors is where the furnace and the hot water heater sit. This is that other door I was talking about. That was where a small freezer used to sit. And then over here, this is actually one set of shelves. And as you can see, they're pretty well full. And then a second set of shelves. Again, this is pretty well full. That door doesn't like to slide. And this one here where the electrical panel sits. So that is part of the design problem. And then on the other side of the layout, I'm trying to see if I can get this. There we go. There you go. Now you can see back in this corner, and of course it doesn't show up really all that well here because of the knotty pine, but these doors here, that's where the sump pump sits. And that's basically 2 foot by 2 foot square. So, yeah, my wall of uniqueness. Yes, I live about an hour and a half away from Strasburg in Maryland. And, of course, over here is the bench. Now, you only see a little bit of it because the layout presently covers the rest of it. It's covering about 4 foot. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop here for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, back at it, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so gave you basically an idea as to what's going. Knew I wanted to show you guys something else. I wanted to show you that piece of paper up there, but that's okay. Bad knee, it just popped. Not a good thing. Anyway, sorry guys and gals. Just a little. One of those weeks, you know what I mean? One of the other things, like I said, I talked about a little bit earlier, was the iterations of this thing. There was a couple different railroads, a couple different designs, things that were brought up. I did, in fact, even the name of this went through a couple different iterations. At one point in time, it was called the Gettysburg and Fredericksburg. It was called the Atlantic Dock and Freight Company. We actually had it listed as the MARPAC, Maryland Pacific. And then I finally settled on, a few years back, I finally settled on the Boeville Newtown. But the funny thing of it is, before that, there was my feeble attempts at drawing locomotives and paint schemes. Now, some of these paint some of these schemes go back probably a good 30 years. At least 20. Case in point. Sorry, you can't see me, can you? No. The Gettysburg and Fredericksburg. Yeah. It gets better. Because then we had, somebody decided to call it the Berg line. So there's actually an iceberg. Of course, there's no way you'd ever see an iceberg anywhere near close to Maryland, but that's beside the point. And if you did, we got big problems. You know, there was that one, and then of course, then there was, let's go with the green and the gold, huh? Anyway, I'm not going to get into the rest of these because it just, yeah. Anyway, they get worse as it goes on. But then there was this dude. Looks somewhat familiar, doesn't it? That's the scheme that ended up on the PA1, the Athearn PA1 unit. So yes, after all that, even going through the Berg and the Marpac and so on and so forth, we ended up with the Boeville Newtown, and we ended up with the paint scheme that's on that PA1. Eventually I'll get around to maybe painting some more of them. There is one locomotive shell underneath of the layout. It was originally, the shell was, it's an old AHM BL2, which aren't great shells to begin with, but I had sat there with Tester's paint and painted it up for the AD&FC, and it's a really ugly paint job. I am so glad that I went out and bought a airbrush. Of course, I haven't used it in, let's see, 94, oh man, I'm getting old. Probably 22 years. It's a Badger. It's a nice piece. Funny thing of it is this year I actually went ahead and got an electric air compressor. Because I hit 20 years with the company I work for, and that's one of the gifts that you could get was a air compressor. I'm like, I need one of those. So that's what I got. The only thing I've used it for so far is, and of course the timing on this couldn't be better, the only thing I've used it for is inflating, well, of course it was inflating basketballs, not footballs. Of course, I guess I could have deflated a few, but then we won't go there. For the Patriots fans out there. Sorry, I'm not a big sports fan. I'm really not. Trust me, I'm not a big sports fan. Don't yell at me. I've got too many other things going on. In fact, the only sport that I am involved in is bowling. So, outside of that, that's it. Anywho, trying to think if there's anything else I can squeeze into this vlog for tonight, but I think I've pretty much covered it. Oh, and there is one other thing here. Hold on, just a second. I'm going to scoot off. Unfortunately, Mr. Sharp, I haven't found the box for this dude yet, but I will be finding the box tomorrow morning, and it should be on its way to you come Monday. So, yeah. I can't use this, so I'm sending it to Mr. Sharp because he can. So, good luck with this, sir. Have a ball. So I think that's basically going to be it for the night, folks. You know, I know I've mentioned it before. I'm still new to this whole thing. You know, everything's cool, but oh yeah, that YouTube. That YouTube thing that was the other night, oh my gosh, the YouTube model builders with Barry and them, that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to the one in February, which brings me up to another point. I'm not sure if there is anybody local here. The Timonium Fairgrounds off of York Road, I believe their train show model railroad, that they've got modular layouts that come in. There's a bunch of vendors that come in. There's people that are trying to get, you know, sell off stuff. They'll all be up there. I believe it's next weekend. Not sure which day I'm going to go yet, but I am definitely going to go there. So it's at the Timonium Fairgrounds, or the Maryland State Fair as they call it now, down at the Cow Palace. And I will be there, you know, not doing anything. I'll be wandering around, but I'm not sure which day I'm going to go yet. But I am planning on, definitely planning on going up there. So you all have a good evening. Green tracks ahead. See ya.